let's start with why this idea works so well, and why it's especially perfect for American homeowners right now. Across the country, home renovation is booming. Bathrooms are being retiled, kitchens are getting upgrades, and driveways are being resurfaced. All of that work leaves behind something. Broken pieces, cut-off edges, irregular fragments, and whole tiles that cracked during installation. Most of that material goes straight into the dumpster, but in the world of landscape design, this material has a name. It's called tessera, and it's the foundational material of mosaic art. A technique that dates back thousands of years and has been used in some of the most celebrated garden designs in human history. When you take that concept and apply it to your outdoor walkway, you create what landscape professionals call a crazy paving or mosaic path. It's rustic, it's artistic, and it's entirely your own. Before you begin your broken tile walkway project, you'll want to gather and sort your materials. The best tile fragments for a garden path are ceramic, porcelain, and natural stone tiles. Glazed ceramic tiles work beautifully because they're water-resistant and come in endless colors and patterns. Porcelain fragments are extremely durable and handle foot traffic well. They're actually tougher than most natural stone options. If your broken pieces include terracotta tiles, those work too, though they tend to be more porous and may need sealing after installation. Avoid glass tiles for pathways, because they can become dangerously slippery when wet. As you sort through your pieces, don't worry about making them uniform. The charm of this style of walkway comes entirely from the irregular shapes fitting together like a puzzle. The more varieties in size, color, and texture you have, the more visually interesting the final path will look. Now let's talk about planning your path. Because a little bit of preparation here saves enormous frustration later. Walk the area where you want your walkway to go and use a garden hose or a length of rope to lay out the shape on the ground. Curved paths tend to look more natural and organic in a garden setting, while straight paths work well in more formal or structured yard designs. Once you're happy with the shape, mark the edges with spray paint or small wooden stakes and string. Standard garden walkways are usually between 18 inches and 36 inches wide. 18 inches is the minimum comfortable single-person width, while 36 inches allows two people to walk side by side comfortably. Decide on your width based on how you plan to use the path and how much tile material you have available. Preparing the ground properly is the single most important step in this entire project, and it's the step most beginners want to skip. Please don't skip it. A beautiful path laid on unprepared ground will shift, sink, and crack within a single season. Start by removing all grass and vegetation from your marked path area. A flat spade makes this easy. Just cut along your marked edges and peel the sod back like a rug. Once the vegetation is removed, excavate the soil to a depth of about 4 to 6 inches. This depth gives you room for a gravel base layer, a sand setting layer, and the thickness of your tile fragments themselves. Use a hand tamper or a plate compactor to firm up the soil at the bottom of your excavation. If you skip this compaction step, the soil will settle unevenly later and cause your tiles to rock or tip. With your base excavated and compacted, add a 2-inch layer of crushed gravel or road base material and tamp it firmly. This gravel layer is your drainage foundation. It allows rainwater to pass through, rather than pooling under your tiles and causing them to heave during freeze-thaw cycles, which is a real concern for anyone in the northern United States where winters get cold. On top of the gravel, add a 1-inch layer of coarse builder's sand and screed it smooth with a straight board. This sand layer is your leveling medium. It's what allows you to press tiles down to the right height and shimmy them until they're level before the mortar or jointing compound locks everything into place. Now comes the part everyone looks forward to, actually placing the tile fragments. Start at one end of your path and work your way forward, fitting pieces together like a puzzle. Keep the gaps between pieces relatively consistent. Somewhere between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches works well. Gaps that are too small make it difficult to fill with jointing material, while gaps that are too large look unfinished and can collect debris. As you work, step back every few minutes and look at the overall pattern developing. Shuffle colors and textures around, so similar pieces aren't clustered together. If you have one particularly beautiful or decorative tile piece, consider saving it for the center of the path, or for a focal point near a garden bench or a birdbath where visitors will naturally pause and notice it. Once your tiles are all placed and you're happy with the layout, it's time to set them permanently. For most DIY homeowners, the simplest reliable method is to mix a batch of mortar or tile adhesive, and apply it to the underside of each piece, before pressing it firmly into the sand layer. Make sure each tile sits level with its neighbors. Use a rubber mallet to tap stubborn pieces down, and a small pry tool or flat screwdriver to gently lift any piece that's sitting too high. Allow the mortar to cure for at least 24 hours before walking on the path. After the mortar has set, mix a batch of unsanded tile grout, or a polymer-modified jointing sand and work it into the gaps between your tile pieces, using a grout float or an old brush. Wipe away excess grout with a damp sponge before it dries, and allow the whole path to cure for at least 48 to 72 hours before allowing regular foot traffic. Now here's where the garden design magic really happens, and this is something most how-to guides leave out entirely. The spaces between your tile pieces don't have to be just grout. Many of the most beautiful broken tile garden paths in the United States use low-growing plants in the joints instead of, or in addition to grout. Creeping thyme is arguably the most popular choice. It grows only 1 to 3 inches tall, handles moderate foot traffic without complaint, releases a wonderful herbal fragrance when stepped on, and blooms with tiny pink and purple flowers in summer. Irish moss and Scotch moss are two other excellent options for cooler climates. They create a lush green carpet effect between the tiles that looks absolutely enchanting. For hot, dry climates in states like Arizona, New Mexico, or Southern California, consider planting woolly thyme or a dwarf sedum variety in the gaps instead. These succulent-type ground covers are drought-tolerant and will spread slowly to fill the joints with a tapestry of texture. If you've chosen to plant living ground cover in the joints of your tile path, caring for those plants properly is what determines whether your walkway looks spectacular or scrappy. Light requirements depend on your plant selection. Creeping thyme and sedum both prefer full sun, meaning at least 6 hours of direct sunlight per day, while Irish moss and baby's tears thrive in partial shade. Make sure your plant selection matches the actual light conditions of your specific path location before you plant. Temperature is an important consideration too. Creeping thyme is exceptionally cold-hardy, tolerating winters in USDA zones 4 through 9 with ease. Irish moss handles zones 4 through 8, but appreciates some protection in the coldest northern winters. If you're in a frost-free zone, like South Florida or Hawaii, opt for tropical ground covers like dwarf mondo grass or baby's tears in your joints. They stay green year-round and love the warm, humid conditions. Watering the plants growing in your tile path joints is a delicate balance. In the early weeks after planting, consistent moisture is critical. Those tiny plants are establishing their root systems in a relatively small pocket of soils between tile pieces, and they need regular water to get settled. Water the joints gently 2 to 3 times per week during the first month, using a watering can with a gentle rose head rather than a strong hose stream that would wash the plants right out of the joints. Once established, usually after 4 to 6 weeks, most of these ground covers are remarkably drought tolerant. Creeping thyme in particular prefers to dry out slightly between waterings and will actually rot if kept too wet. Cut back to watering once a week, or relying on natural rainfall after the establishment period. And let the plants tell you when they're thirsty by watching for any slight wilting or color change in the leaves. Fertilizing these path plants is something most beginners overthink. The truth is, most low-growing ground covers used in tile path joints are light feeders that perform best in relatively lean soil conditions. Too much fertilizer causes rapid, floppy growth that looks untidy between the tiles. A single application of a balanced, slow-release granular fertilizer at the beginning of the growing season, usually March or April for most of the United States, is all these plants typically need for the whole year. Work a small pinch of fertilizer granules into the soil around each plant in the joints and water it in well. Skip the fertilizer entirely if your plants already look lush and vigorous. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Pruning and maintenance for a broken tile path is wonderfully minimal compared to most garden projects. The main job is keeping the joint plants trimmed so they don't sprawl up and over the tile surfaces in a way that makes the path look overgrown or creates a slip hazard. A pair of small grass shears or even a pair of kitchen scissors works perfectly for trimming creeping thyme and moss. Back to the edge of each tile, do this trimming once or twice a growing season, and your path will stay looking crisp and intentional. After a few years you may find that some joints or sections have thinned out where foot traffic is heaviest. Simply scratch up the soil in those areas, add a pinch of fresh potting mix, and press in a few new plugs of your ground cover plant. They'll fill back in within a season. Common problems with broken tile walkways are easy to solve once you know what to look for. The most frequent issue beginners encounter is tiles rocking or shifting after the first winter. This almost always traces back to inadequate base preparation. Either the gravel drainage layer was too thin, the soil wasn't compacted well, or freeze-thaw cycles heaved the ground. The fix is straightforward. Remove the affected tiles, add more gravel and sand base material, recompact everything, and relay the tiles with fresh mortar. If you see weeds sprouting up through the joints, pull them early before their roots. Have time to crack the mortar. Laying a thin sheet of landscape fabric over your compacted soil base before adding the gravel layer is an excellent preventive measure that dramatically reduces weed pressure without affecting drainage. Another common problem is algae or moss growing on tile surfaces in shaded areas, making them slippery. A simple solution of white vinegar and water applied with a stiff brush removes algae and moss quickly without damaging the tiles or the surrounding plants. Perhaps the most rewarding thing about a broken tile garden walkway is the way it transforms your entire yard's character. Where there was once a muddy shortcut through the grass, there is now a path that draws the eye, invites exploration, and tells the story of materials given a second life. Neighbors stop to ask about it. Visitors compliment it before they even reach the front door, and you get to tell them you built it yourself from pieces that were headed for the landfill. That's the kind of project that stays with you. The kind that makes you look at a pile of so-called garbage and sees possibility instead. So here is your challenge. Before this week is over, walk your property and identify one place, just one, where a broken tile path could make a difference. Maybe it's the muddy gap between the driveway and the side gate. Maybe it's the worn trail through the lawn between the patio and the vegetable garden. Maybe it's a simple stepping stone path through a flower bed. Collect your broken tile pieces, sketch out your design, and start digging. You don't have to do it all at once. Lay a few pieces. See how it feels. I promise you, once you see those first beautiful tile fragments fitting together on the ground, you won't be able to stop. If you love learning about seasonal flowering plants, vegetables, gardening tips, and nature care, like, share and subscribe to Nature Nurture Hub, your home for year-round garden inspiration. Let's keep growing together.